Hi, my name is Chris Lemp, and I'm from the Dynamic Drum School, and this is part 3 of the eighth note drumming series. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to add a crash cymbal to all the drum beats you've learned so far. So first, let me demonstrate how you want to hit the crash cymbal. So with the crash, you're going to want to hit it on the stick as it gets a little bit bigger, right about here. You see, right as the stick gets to its full width, that's a great place to hit it. You can, of course, hit it anywhere to get different sounds, but it's a good place to start. And when you hit it, you kind of swipe a little bit, just a little bit to the left. And the reason to do that is if you hit it dead center, you're going to really hit it hard, you can break your cymbal. And obviously, you know, if you're going to hit it softer, it doesn't matter as much. But you do get a really nice tone that way, and you'll protect your cymbals. So there is a free PDF in the link below, and I go through each example on the PDF. You can also follow along. There's going to be the music notation above me, so whichever way is easier. Let's get started with example number 1 in the PDF. On example number 1, we're starting with your leading hand, whichever that is, the left or the right. You're going to hit the crash on beat 1, and then the rest of the measure is on the hi-hat. So crash on beat 1, then the 2 and the and on the hi-hat, and then 3 and 4 and on the hi-hat. Let's try this together at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 2. With number 2, we're starting the same way, but we're going to add the bass drum. So on beat 1, we have the crash and the bass drum together. Then we're going to come down and a 1 and the 2 and on just the hi-hat. And then on beat 3, we have the bass drum and the hi-hat. And then the rest of the measure is the and a 3, the 4 and the and on just the hi-hat. Let's practice this together at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 3. We're going to start on beat 1 with the crash and the bass drum together. Then you're going to come down on the hi-hat on the and a 1, just with the hi-hat. Then on beat 2, we have the hi-hat and the snare. Then the and of 2 is just the hi-hat. Then on beat 3, we've got the bass drum and the hi-hat together. The and of 3, just the hi-hat. Beat 4, we have hi-hat and snare drum, and then just the hi-hat on the and of 4. Let's practice this together at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Example number 4 is just the same thing, just at 70 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 5. We're going to add the crash now every 4 measures to the drum beat. So the first measure has the crash cymbal on beat 1. You finish the rest of the measure with the drum beat. Then measures 2, 3, and 4, you're going to just keep your leading hand on the hi-hat. So every 4 measures, you're going to hit the crash cymbal, and we're going to run through this twice. There'll be a total of 8 measures, hitting the crash, the first measure, and then the 5th measure. Let's try this together at 70 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 6. The same thing. We're just going to do it a little bit faster at 90 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 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 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and let's take a look at example number 7. So this is from part 2, the second video I did with the 2 drum beats. If you haven't seen that first, check that out. There's a link right above. Definitely learn that beat first before you try adding the crash. But let's just jump right into it. I'll assume you know how to play this beat now. On beat 1, we have the crash cymbal and the bass drum. Then you're going to come down to the hi-hat on the and a 1. On beat 2, we have the hi-hat and the snare. On the and a 2, just the hi-hat. Beat 3 and the and a 3 is the hi-hat and the bass drum. Beat 4, we have the hi-hat and the snare, and then we're ending on just the and a 4, which is the hi-hat. Let's try this together at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 8. Now we're doing the same beat. We're just going to do this crash cymbal every 4 measures, just like we did in example number 5 with the other beat. So now crash cymbal on beat 1, then you play 4 measures, just playing on the hi-hat. Then you come back on the 5th measure and you're going to hit the crash again, run through it through the end of the 8th measure. So let's try this together. We're going to do it a little bit faster at 70 beats per minute. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So let's take a look at example number 9. This one's a little trickier because you're going to be playing the bass drum on beat 1 with the crash, and then you're coming down with your leading hand to the hi-hat with the bass drum. So this is the first. With the other 2 examples, you only hit the bass drum once, and then you come down to the hi-hat. Here we're going to hit the bass drum with the crash, and then with the hi-hat. So let's just break down the first part of the measure, hitting the crash, the bass drum, then the bass drum and the hi-hat, and then we'll also try with the snare. What can help a lot is if you just practice the 1 and the and, just hit the crash, and then the hi-hat. And then you can build from there, maybe do crash, hi-hat, and the snare. Let's put the whole measure together. We've got the crash on the 1 with the bass drum. On the and, we have the hi-hat and the bass drum. On beat 2, we have the hi-hat and the snare. The and a 2 is just the hi-hat. Then the 3 in the and is the hi-hat and the bass drum. Beat 4 is the hi-hat and the snare, and then ending with just the hi-hat on the and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 10. We're going to do the same thing with this example that we did with example number 5 and number 8. We're going to take the drum beat now and hit the crash only every 4 measures. So on the first measure, then you come down and play the beat, and then the 5th measure, when you repeat it, you come back, hit the crash, and then you finish out to the 8th measure. So let's try this together at 70 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 3 and 4 and 1 2 3 and 4. 1 and 2 3 and 4. 1 and 2 3 and 4. 1 and 2 3 and 4 and 1. Great. Now that you can play all 3 drum beats adding the crash cymbal, what you want to do is practice along with the 2 free MP3 files. If you haven't downloaded those, it's on the same page that you got the free PDF. There's 2 MP3 tracks. One is at 70 beats per minute and one is at 90 beats per minute. What you want to do is practice all 3 beats, adding the crash cymbal, and try adding the crash every 4 measures. Then once you can do that, then you'll be able to go back to the songs, all the songs that I listed for the 2 previous videos with the 3 drum beats. Try adding the crash at different parts. A lot of times you'll add at the beginning of the song and at different beginnings of the different sections. So maybe at the beginning of the verse, the chorus, the bridge, and so on. So if you're enjoying the content, you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, give us a thumbs up. And the next video, what we're going to do is show you how to add eighth note drum fills to all three of these drum beats. So we'll see you next time, and thanks a lot.